Hey guys, welcome to Westside Collector Car Storage, and I want to share with you my new car. No, really, I bought a 1991 Bentley Turbo R. This car was $241,000 33 years ago, and I did not pay nearly that much for it. In this video, I'm going to explain to you the deal I got on this Turbo R, how much it's depreciated from new, what was wrong with it and had to be fixed in order to make it perfect, what we did to make it perfect, some of the amazing luxury features from 34 years ago that were in an unbelievable expensive car of the time, and most importantly, what it's like to drive around LA. Under this clamshell hood, I mean, look at this. This is fantastic. 6 3/4 liter turbo, not twin turbo, just turbo, 1 Garrett turbo, V8. Figures never officially published, but most were estimating it to be 300 horsepower and 485 pound-feet of torque. And look at the cleanliness of this engine bay. This car has only 20,000 original miles. The quilting underneath the hood is just exceptional. The cleanliness on all the parts is just exceptional. In fact, I believe that just this past weekend on a trip to Palm Springs, I'm the first person to ever drive this car in the rain. It's unreal. Mated to a 3-speed General Motors transmission, which even though this engine redlines at 4,500 RPM and only has 3 gears, the top speed is nearly 150 miles an hour. Think about that gear reduction going on there. It's just nuts. Okay, in here is where it really gets good. Folks, today's episode wouldn't be possible without our friends at Factor, and they're not just a sponsor. I love what they do. It gets so busy around here, the podcasts, the videos, running the business, I forget to eat all the time. And then what happens is by the time I get hungry, I panic, right? I make bad decisions. I order from the wrong place. I eat something fast and unhealthy. Factor solves that problem. Cuts down on grocery trips, cuts down on having to cook, cuts down on eating out or ordering delivery. So there's more time to be productive during the day or spend time with family or friends and less time thinking about where, what, and how to eat. Factor is so flexible. I can adjust the order size. I can adjust my schedule if I'm traveling for work. I can skip a week if I need to here and there. No big deal. You got your proteins on the side. You get premium produce like broccoli, broccolini, cauliflower to complement those proteins. They're just adding surf and turf and surf meal options coming this month. So take a look at those. These Factor meals are nutritious. They're fresh, never frozen. You keep them in your fridge, pair it with one of those Factor smoothies, and you are good to go. Hit the link in the video description or head to factor75.com and use code TST50, that's code TST50, to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life. That's 2 free wellness shots from 3 available flavors for every order while you're an active subscriber. Hit that link, code TST50, and thank you to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Because I like eating broccoli. I eat a lot of broccoli. Connolly leather, everywhere. Burlwood, everywhere. Brightwork, everywhere. And this thing has some unbelievable features. Dual 8-way, 4 memory setting, 2 heat setting front power seats. Just incredible for 91. Each side view mirror has its own joystick controller linked to the power seat. So when I hit mine, the seat and the mirrors go to the correct position. You've of course got your ashtray, and the rear seats get dual ashtrays, which is awesome. Climate control, fully automatic, and you can have heat and air conditioning going at the same time. You can have heat on your feet and air conditioning up top, or vice versa. It's unreal. You've got the fuel gauge, which acts as an oil level indicator if you press that button. You've got two horns, a polite horn and a loud horn, which you select by using this button and then hitting the horn button. You've got fog lights, panel dimmer, the clock, all your gauges here, really, really good, including an analog exterior temperature gauge. It all works. Oil pressure, temperature, it all works absolutely perfectly. I love this car. It is just so cool. Look at these carpets. They are double thick, extra squishy, super luxurious. And in fact, my wife is considering making people take their shoes off to get in the car. The vanity mirrors are burl wood. The headliner is absolutely perfect. And the seats look like they've barely been sat in. One thing that's actually absent from this car, there's not very much storage. Other than under these armrests where you've got a basic storage compartment, there's no cup holders, the door pockets are really small. There's not really a lot of places to put stuff. It's strange considering this wasn't a Porsche, this was a luxury car. Even in the back, there's not a lot of places to put stuff. Let's take a quick look in the back. Coming back here, it really looks like the back seats were basically never sat in. The leather's not even creased. You've got your armrest that folds down, you've got pockets, and then you've got these little footrest guys that go on the extra thick carpet. There's a beautiful vanity mirror back here, and you've got these New York City subway style straps. The doors have ashtrays and their own cigarette lighters, which you can see have never been used. In general, this car is just in unbelievable condition. It is almost as close to a brand new 34-year-old car that you're going to find. The guy took such good care of this thing, and you can tell when you drive it. So let's take it out and have a little spin. Let's go for a drive in my Turbo R. Whew. Well, we're not going to hit the canyons because this isn't a canyon car. It's a city car. All my other sports cars are, they're hardcore. They're in a way or another. They're not really the kind of car you just want to putter around the city in, and that's the appeal of the Bentley Turbo R to me. It is a cool, classic. It's comfortable, it's spacious, it's reasonably practical. I mean, it holds 4 people and a whole bunch of stuff. And I can enjoy it in the city running errands. I don't have to worry about it getting hot. I don't have to worry about the clutch. I don't have to really worry about where I park it because it's, despite being a Bentley, it's pretty low key. But I do feel that I should tell you guys that I didn't seek this car out. I didn't decide I would like a Bentley Turbo R. Let me then go find the best one, right? The car found me. And that's how a lot of my cars find me, actually, throughout history. The Lamborghini found me. I wasn't searching for a Countach, but I happened to know a guy who owned one, and he decided he wanted to sell and asked me to help him sell it, and I ended up buying it. And so this car is actually kind of a sweet story. The gentleman who owned it, the first owner, bought it for himself brand new December 27th, 1990 as a 60th birthday for himself. He was a relatively powerful gentleman. He was one of the co-founders of the LA Flower Mart, which is a commercial flower distribution center downtown, and a lot of florists get their stuff from them. And he drove it on weekends. He had a place in Long Beach. He liked to go to lunch with his family. He would go to church, that kind of stuff. And he kept this car, gave it everything it needed, service-wise and care-wise, until his death. He died last year at 93. And he took amazing care of this car. It was like a special member of his family. And I'll continue the story after this on-ramp. Here's the 460 pounds of torque just steaming along. The power is super, super smooth. The torque converter is set to like really soft and fluid, so the shifts are pretty smooth. And then once you're on the highway, you are cruising. A really interesting thing about this car is it is a General Motors 3-speed gearbox. The later Turbo R's got the 4-speed, and if I was shopping around, I'd probably want a 4-speed car because at 80 miles an hour, you're turning about 2,700 RPM, which for a 6 3/4 V8 is high. The ride is amazing. The hydraulic suspension is simultaneously, sort of big and floaty, but also very tight. The steering is actually very sharp and precise. That was one of the more interesting and impressive things. The brake pedal is nice and firm, and although the car is very heavy, so the brakes aren't exactly sports car, we've had them, the new fluid, new pads, and so they work as well as they ever could. So it's a great cruiser that sits happily around 75 miles an hour. Above 75, your fuel economy really goes into the toilet pretty quickly, but it cruises effortlessly. So the gentleman passed away, and his family didn't really know what to do with the car, but they were going to sell his house, which is a really cool kind of architecturally semi-significant mid-century home. My wife and I, walking around the neighborhood, knew that this gentleman had died. We didn't know him, but we just saw the car sitting in the driveway being washed. And so we had asked the detailer about it. He brought out one of the members of the family, were showing us around, and we were instantly blown away by the condition of the car. The leather, the wood, the paint, the wheels, the engine bay. I mean, it was so clean. And then to hear their story of him buying it from new and look over the service records. So I had Donnie Calloway, come down next day, take a look at it, asked for his blessing. Let me adjust the dual zone climate control to be a little cooler here. He looked over it and he said, "Matt, if you don't buy this car, I'm buying this car." And he's already got 2 of these. And so I'll make a little legal U-turn here. Turning radius, not bad. You can actually get quite a bit of angle on the steering wheel. And just steam back onto the 90 freeway here. This thing will do 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds, but it just feels effortlessly powerful. It's a cruiser. I don't want to drive it fast. I sort of just want to hold my lane and go at my pace, and that's good for my mental health. So once we had the approval from Donnie, we knew it was going to need some things, and so we brought it to Charlie Agapoo, and well, it needed a little more than some things. Let's see what it needed. Let's talk money for a moment, shall we? I've got my maintenance book here, and I do these for all of my cars. I organize the historical, look at this. These were in the car. Aren't these great? Donnie wants one of these for his. I organize all of the service records by year. And because this is a one-owner car, I have documents going back to new, which is amazing. Totally documented. I then summarized all of the past history on just this one page. I bought this car for $20,000, which honestly, it's a great price. It's a great price. What defines the value of a Turbo R is knowing the ownership history, knowing the service history on top of the current condition. The current condition, spectacular. One owner from new, I'm the second owner, complete service history, dealer serviced, Rolls-Royce of Beverly Hills, going back to new. Just amazing. So I genuinely believe I got a great deal on this car. Not because of these videos or because I'm someone in the car industry, actually because I live right up the road from the person who sold it. And they were happy that the car was going to stay in the neighborhood and they would see it around and know that I wasn't going to flip it and I was actually going to drive it and enjoy it. So that's great. So $20,000 for the car. In this car's entire 33-year life, it has never had a mechanical failure of a powertrain of any kind. It's had the parking brake repaired. It had a leaking water pump repaired. This is in the 90s. It had the parking brake repaired again in the late 90s. The rear window mechanisms were repaired. Those can be problematic on these cars in general. The fluids replaced, belts replaced. The gas springs were replaced in 1999, the rear springs. Little stuff, services, the radio wasn't working in 03. It was replaced with an aftermarket one. Rear windows not working again, replaced. Vacuum leak at the PCV valve, replaced that. That was it. That's fuel sender replaced because the gauge stopped working. Gauge stopped working. Rear windows stopped working. So 3 times the rear windows stopped working. Parking brakes stopped working again. So none of these ever prevented the car from being driven normally in 33 years. That's a great sign. And we have lots of service records. So I wanted to make it perfect, partially so I could experience what the perfect Bentley ownership experience was, and partially because I was going to put my wife in this car, who loves cars but is not mechanically inclined, and I didn't want to put her in an old car that she couldn't depend on. So we went to Charlie Agapoo, who is the expert of Bentley in the area. It's who everybody goes to. And I said, Charlie, you have essentially a blank check to do whatever you need to get this car perfect. Everything must work exactly perfectly. I got it back last week, and it cost me $12,681 to get there. So the car, taxes and registration, and the service, under $35,000 I'm into. Now, top of market for this car, which this would now be, is about $40,000. So I actually think I'm a little bit ahead. It's a lot of money, yes, but I think we're doing well. Consider this. We had to replace both the front seat ECUs, which were fried, and that controls the memory heated seats of the car. And we needed that because we need the memory seats, and also the seat was stuck forward and I couldn't drive it. That was $4,500. Also, new tires. This car only has one type of tire that will fit it. That's the Avon Turbo Speed 15-inch tire out of England. Full set of those with installation, $3,000. So of the $12,681, $7,000 plus of that was just the seats and new tires. So actually there wasn't that much. We did a few hoses. We did a major service with fluids, plugs, and wires. We had to replace the belts they needed. They were old. The air conditioning compressor was toast. That was $1,200. We put a new Pioneer stereo in it and all new speakers. That was about $1,500. So we have Bluetooth, we have USB. We had to fix those rear window motors. That was around $1,000. Brake fluid, the brakes pedals were soft. That solved that. So it was really a catch-up service, plus repairing a couple little things that frankly didn't affect how the car drove. So now our total investment is just over $35,000 for a car that retailed new for $241,000, which is about $410,000 in today's money. That means I bought a 20,000 mile, one owner car in nearly mint condition and got it the rest of the way there at a 96% depreciation curve. What else could I buy for $35,000? Talking about an Elantra, a loaded up Corolla, a base Camry, a base Accord. maybe a Prius. I think the cheapest Prius is around that. I mean, fine cars, don't get me wrong, but they're not Bentleys. They're not exciting, certainly. They might be more fuel efficient, and yeah, you'd get a warranty. You'd get a little more tech, although this one has Bluetooth and USB now, and frankly, that's enough for me. I don't see the... Look, this could go very badly. This could be catastrophic. You know, I spent over the last 3 years $28,000 leasing a Ford Mach-E. Okay? And that's not money I get back. I think it was a worthwhile thing. I liked the car. It was great. And we did lots of content about it. And okay. But at the end of that, my value back is zero. That's money that's gone. So even if I put 40, 50,000 miles on this thing in 2 years and have to do another 10 grand of service, these cars still have a floor. I'm going to keep it nice. I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to keep the leather looking good. I'm going to keep up with the maintenance. The odds that I would lose a significant amount of money are pretty small. Oh, and I found myself stuck. Sorry. I'll tell you what, if you find yourself stuck in an intersection and you're in a Bentley, even an old one, people will not have sympathy for you. So to me, car guy math, it could work. It could work. And I'm told by everybody, from Donnie to Charlie to people on the internet who've owned these, that keeping them moving, keeping them driving, using them as a car, just doing the regular service but keeping all the fluids in motion is the key to having a reliable Bentley experience. Sitting is the key to having an unreliable Bentley experience. So what do I have to do? Drive and enjoy. That's really it. And that shouldn't be too hard because it's quite a joy to drive, actually, particularly in the LA environment or on a road trip. And if you're looking at this at my seating position and going, well, that looks slightly awkward, at first glance it kind of does. I'm a little closer to the wheel than I would like. The wheel is on a little upward tilt, and that's not ideal. Actually, this wheel doesn't tilt, believe it or not, at all. That was in the later cars, got the tilt wheel. In a perfect world, the seat would be an inch or two lower and I could tilt the wheel down, but I have room, and actually these seats are very much like really comfy lounge chairs. The longer you sit in them, they sort of mold to your body. And although the steering wheel is a little closer than I'd like, if I rest my elbows on the armrest, it's like my hands are in the perfect position to rest here, to drive from the bottom of the wheel. And actually, if I rest my arm up here, that's about the right position as well. So it looks odd, but it actually feels more comfortable than it looks, which is cool. So I don't mind spending time in this thing. The engine is so smooth. I mean, it actually reminds me a bit of the LS 400 engine. It idles at 500 RPM, and it's just really quiet, but with this just low burble, particularly when you're coming down from highway speeds because it's turning all those revs. It's got this cool low burble from the back. The windows are really thick. The doors are really thick. I mean, when you, it's got a real good, like when I open this door, it's like, I mean, it's got a real good, solid thunk. Everything about it is thick. It's metal. It's wood. It's leather. You know, it's like an old cigar lounge or a country club. It's so nice. And it really feels like basically a brand new car. There's no real marks on anything. There's just a couple little paint chips here and there. And next week I'm going to have a paint correction done. So right now, yeah, okay, I'm in, you could call it the honeymoon phase. And I'm sure that will wear off at some point. But it's a really well-made thing that I intend to keep up and keep nice, keep it looking good, keep it running good, give it what it needs, not let it sit, drive it all the time. And I think it's important to keep cars like this around, to keep the old owner's story going. One of the reasons the old owner wanted to, his family anyway, wanted me to have the car was because they knew I lived in the neighborhood and they could see it, in my driveway. They could visit it, and they could follow me on Instagram, and they know that it's going to be used and not just be, flipped and sold to another guy. It's not. I don't see it as a profit center. Both Hannah and I really appreciate it as a piece of history, but also just as a beautiful machine that deserves to be driven and used. I'm super stoked on this car. It's so cool. And I'm glad that driving it isn't disappointing. So far anyway. The way it moves through the city and the way it moves down the highway is really, really nice. It's old enough where you're not a douche driving it. Granted, with the gray beard and stuff, I probably look like Rob Reiner rolling down the road in this thing. But in general, people are quite approving of this car in a way that maybe they wouldn't be of a brand new Bentley. Not that it's for other people. This is what's really this about it is in here. It does look great on the outside, so I get it why people give you a thumbs up. But it's really all about what's happening in here. How nice all that is. So I look forward to making more content with this car, keeping you guys up to speed on what the Bentley Turbo R ownership experience is, and finding out for myself if my $35,000 has been a wise investment or a very, very poor one. We'll see. It'll be fun. Thanks for watching. See you later.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.